All right, so now that we have our DAW up, I'd like to show you the DAW I'm using, and that's Cubase Pro, Cubase 8. And you might have a different DAW, but that doesn't really matter because all of these different programs, they work in a similar way. They all sequence, you sequence the music inside here in the sequencer, and you mix inside the DAW and you export it and all of that. So the functionality is similar, so it doesn't really matter which DAW you're using. So let me take you through a bit about Cubase. And this is what it'll look like sort of in the beginning. And the first thing I do is just go to workspace, and then I choose a minimal workspace. So I have a big screen right here. And up here you see the menus, and that's basically where all your different function, everything is up here basically. So if we start with file, you have your new project, save as, you can export right here to audio mixdown. And the edits are pretty much how you edit things inside here. So you can edit your MIDI and stuff, like your ranges and all this stuff. And then in project, it's about the project settings. So if you go to project setup right here, you'll see how long the project is, what frame rate if you import videos, sample rate, bit resolution, and all that stuff. And also you have your different, you have your sample pool and stuff. If you import audio in here, you'll see them all inside here. And then in audio, it's basically how you process every single audio files in your project. So you have your processes here and so on. The same thing with MIDI. And then scores is basically if you want to have your notation program, your notation, your score sheets basically. Media is the same thing here. You can open up your pull window, you have your media bay, import medium conform files, search for media and such. The transport panel is basically this panel right here, so we'll talk a bit about that soon. Devices is where you set up everything. So you have your device setup right here. Here's where you set up your MIDI keyboard, your VST audio system. Right now I'm using the built-in for the MacBook Pro. And then you have your control panel here, so you see how large the buffer size is. And basically the lower this is, it will be faster, like less latency, but you might experience more sample dropouts and a bit more issues. So try to keep it kind of high, but not too high, because then you'll have a lot of latency and that'll be very slow to play with your MIDI keyboard and such. And you have your plugin manager right here. So here's all my plugins. And let's see what we have more. VST connections. So here's basically all your inputs and outputs. And that's my output for the computer, and that's my input. If you'd have another sound card with an audio interface, you would have to add bus here. So you could add a bus, and then you choose like stereo, for example, and then you can choose here your inputs from your audio interface if you have microphones and maybe a guitar cable or something. So remove bus. And then we have your workspace. This is basically all your how your windows are set up. And then the windows here, you'll see which ones are active, and so on. And then you have this panel right here is basically an overview of all the important tools in Cubase. So you have your transport here, play, stop, record. You can mute all the tracks, solo all tracks, read and write with automation. Here you have your different selection tools, so you can select parts, you can cut, you can glue together, you can draw, inside in your curves and stuff. And then right here you have a snap. So if I have snap on right now, you'll see that it snaps to each bar, and I can change that later to beat, for example. Then it will snap to every single beat. If I have bar, it'll snap to each bar. And then I can use quantize, so I can change here to maybe an eighth. So it will snap to every 8th or 16th. And then up here I just have my performance bar right there.